Yup, Democrats are so much better than Vladimir Putin. They don't try to assassinate their political rivals. They try to pass legislation to passively assassinate their political rivals. Viva Frei, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, and it's a Saturday. I ran a Spartan race this morning for the first time in 6 years. It was fun.
The rope is not that hard. You just gotta pinch it with your feet. Bless you.
Thank you. Come down quick.
I get out of the race, I flip my phone back on, I start catching up on the news, and it's truly madness. It's absolute insanity. I read a piece about House Democrats proposing a bill to strip convicted felons of Secret Service protection, as if this is not a bill specifically designed at Donald Trump. They're so much better than Vladimir Putin. They don't assassinate their political opponents. They try to pass legislation so that someone else can assassinate their political opponents. This is just the latest in what I have dubbed the judicial assassination of Donald Trump. They have exploited, they have weaponized every aspect of the system to try to politically assassinate Donald Trump, because I guess the assassination of JFK was a little too messy and they wanted to do it a little cleaner this time. They have leveraged every aspect of government to politically assassinate Donald Trump. And we are witnessing the most recent iteration of this in New York. They have impaneled the jury in the Alvin Bragg, the Soros-funded Alvin Bragg persecution of Donald Trump conducted by the corrupt Juan Marchand. That's one aspect of it. Also, out of the corrupt commie state of New York, you have Leticia James now challenging the certi that Trump posted in that ridiculous, victimless allegations of fraudulent overvaluation of Trump's assets. The insanity coming out of New York under the supervision of New York nipple Judge Engoron, who is equally as corrupt as Judge Juan Marchand, if not more so corrupt and arguably perverted. For those of you who don't know, Leticia James filed a memorandum in support of their opposition to the certi that Trump posted, because originally, by the way, bear in mind, Arthur Engoron, in his initial order, enjoined Trump or the corporations from doing business, from getting loans from any bank doing business in New York. From Engoron's original order that defendants Donald Trump, the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, the Trump Organization, and it goes on, are hereby enjoined from applying for loans from any financial institution chartered by or registered with the New York Department of Financial Services for a period of 3 years. So they tried to preclude Trump from getting loans from financial institutions registered in the state of New York, while Leticia James right now is challenging the certi because it's not registered in the state of New York. Preliminary statement: the appellate division substantially reduced to $175 million the undertaking that defendants were required to post to stay execution of this court's judgment pending appeal. After receiving this favorable ruling, rather than select as the certi a large national insurance company licensed in New York, experienced in underwriting certi bonds, and with policyholder surplus far greater than $175 million, defendants chose instead Knightley Specialty Insurance Company, KSIC, a small insurer that is not authorized to write business in New York and thus not regulated by the state's insurance department, had never before written a certi bond in New York or in the prior years in any other jurisdiction, and has a total policyholder surplus of just $138 million. Defendants and KSIC, collectively movements, have failed to justify KSIC as a certi on this extraordinarily large undertaking for a number of reasons. Bear in mind, Arthur Engoron's initial court ruling was so absurd that even the Court of Appeal had to stay it and allow the companies to basically borrow money in the state of New York to continue to do business in the state of New York. They reduced Arthur Engoron's $454 million ruling to an amount of $175 million as relates to Trump posting certi while he appeals that decision. So Trump goes out and finds a bonding company to post the $175 million certi down from the whopping $454 million of the original judgment. And now Leticia James is challenging that certi, saying it's not good enough. He needs to find another one to replace it within 7 days. And that hearing is going to be on Monday, as at the time of shooting this vlog. And the reasons for which Leticia James is claiming that the certi is not adequate, it's actually threefold. One reason is that it is secured with Trump's trust bank account, which has upwards of the equivalent of $175 million in cash. But they don't like the fact that Trump still has control over that bank account. He can withdraw money from that in theory. So in theory, market fluctuations and withdrawing of funds, it could go below $175 million, and therefore it's not adequate security. The other reason is that the bonding company apparently is not registered in New York and engages in a practice known as shadow insurance. I can't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but bottom line, they don't like the company. It has some offshore accounts. It allegedly has some people who've engaged in questionable conduct, according to Leticia James. So they now want to strike the certi or require Trump to post another bond, find another certi company, after Judge Engoron tried to preclude Donald Trump and his companies from borrowing monies from banks in the state of New York. Second, the court should not rely on KSIC's financial summary attached to the bond as evidence argues that KSIC has sufficient capacity to justify writing a $175 million bond. That is because KSIC sends 100% of its retained insurance risk to affiliates in the Cayman Islands, where lax regulations allow KSIC to use this risk transfer to reduce the liabilities it carries on its books in a way that artificially bolsters its surplus, a practice New York regulators have dubbed, quote, shadow insurance, end quote, and about which they have sounded the alarm. Third, under the regulations that govern the placement of insurance on an excess lines basis, a licensed excess lines broker may place business with an unauthorized insurer like KSIC only if it is satisfied that the insurer's management is trustworthy and competent. KSIC is not qualified to act as the surety under this standard because its management has been found by federal authorities to have operated affiliated companies within KSIC's holding company structure in violation of federal law on multiple occasions within the past several years. But the latest attempt at the lawfare assassination of Donald Trump will blow your mind because they've basically crafted a bill that directly targets Trump and Trump only, but they give it a nice fancy name that would strip Donald Trump, or it would strip anyone, of Secret Service if they become a convicted felon. It's a law designed to target Trump, and they literally want Trump to be in prison without Secret Service so that someone, not them, it would be someone else, it would just be an accident, so that someone can do something bad to Donald Trump. From Fox News, Democrats look to strip Secret Service protection from Trump if he's convicted. The so-called Disgrace Act directly targets Trump, who is facing 91 felony charges in federal and state courts. House Democrats have introduced a bill that would strip Secret Service protection from convicted felons sentenced to prison, a move directly targeting former President Trump, who is currently on criminal trial in New York City for alleged hush money payments made during the 2016 election campaign and faces several other cases which could land him behind bars. I'm going to say it. These people are sick in the freaking head. They are absolute rabid animals. There's no other way to describe it. This is insanity. When you think there's no other Rubicon that they can't cross, they find another Rubicon to cross. And just wait until you hear the beautiful euphemism of a title for this proposed bill. Rep. Benny Thomas, Democrat, Mississippi, the former chair of the now disbanded January 6th Congressional Committee, introduced legislation that would automatically nix Secret Service protection for those who have been convicted of a federal or state felony that carries a minimum 1-year prison term. The proposed bill is provocatively called the, quote, denying infinite security and government resource allocated toward convicted and extremely dishonorable, disgraced former protectees act. Hey, you frothing at the mouth animals, why don't you just call it exactly what you want it to be? Call it the Epstein Act. Quote, unfortunately, current law doesn't anticipate how Secret Service protection would impact the felony prison sentence of a protectee, even a former president, end quote, Thompson said in a statement. Quote, it is regrettable that it has come to this, but this previously unthought of scenario could become our reality, end quote. Rabid, frothing at the mouth political animals is what we are looking at right now. There's no other way to describe it. This is absolute insanity. We're witnessing basically the decline of a nation in real time, and it seems to have gone into the vortex of the black hole of insanity, and there's no bottom to that black hole. A so-called, quote, fact sheet, end quote, accompanying Thompson's statement notes that Trump is facing, unquote, unprecedented 91 felony charges in federal and state courts, end quote, which have, quote, created a new exigency that Congress must address to ensure Secret Service protection does not interfere with the criminal judicial process and the administration of justice, end quote. These rabid, frothing at the mouth political animals have the audacity to invoke the administration of justice to justify what they're doing. They are crossing Rubicon after Rubicon. And if you think it's not having an impact, check out this dude's tweet who's running for Congress up in New York who says, die, MAGA, die. From Nate McMurray, at Nate_McMurray, U.S. congressional candidate for NY26, healthcare as a human right, ban assault weapons, fight MAGA, UBI, bubble up, Bill WNY, NateForCongress.com. Nate McMurray, at Nate McMurray. Slava Ukraine, die, MAGA, die, you lose. I really have to highlight how outrageous this is. This is a guy who's allegedly, purportedly running for Congress. This is a guy who feigned outrage at the lie of the bloodbath comment that Donald Trump made, getting on Twitter and saying, die, MAGA, die. This is what Robert Barnes and I refer to as the political permission slip for these insane, frothing at the mouth, rabid political animals to come out with their death wishes, literally death wishes, on tens of millions of Americans. All right, back to the vlog. This is a black hole of insanity, and I unfortunately think that we're beyond the event horizon of this black hole of insanity. There's no coming back from this. They are just doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. They're going one step after another to do everything they can to lock up their political opponent and to expose their political opponent to the utmost of danger. When Trump was forced to go to Georgia to do the mugshot and they say, well, nobody's above the law, horse crap. I am thoroughly convinced all that they're trying to do is put them in public situations that exposes them to as much danger as humanly possible. And now these rabid, frothing at the mouth animals are proposing a bill that would do nothing less than expose Trump to immediate danger if he's convicted in these kangaroo courts that are making Putin and Kim Jong-un look good by comparison. Well, holy heck, I have worked myself into a tizzy. I think I'm going to go shower off and wash my hair because those Spartan races are dirty. I'm going to take a deep breath, try to remember the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I struggle with it every day, but I'm going to continue to repeat it every day. So that's it. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a comment in the comment section below. Viva Frei on Rumble, the Viva Frei on Twitter, vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the best above average law type community on the interwebs. $10 a month, $100 a year if you get the entire year at the discounted rate. But if you can't afford to support, you can just become a member of our wonderful community. But most importantly, get out there, exercise, eat healthy, get sunlight, talk to people in real life, and serenity now. Now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah! Another peak, and it looks like another water obstacle. No gator threat, just brain-eating virus, flesh-eating bacteria. How much urine is in there? Gross.
Saying what we're all thinking.
Oh dear goodness. We're supposed to go under with our head? Well, that's gross.
I'll do like those guys over there. I did harder than that.
This is disgusting. Oh, it's a foot and a half underneath. It's not even. 3, 2, absolutely disgusting. Sweep the dirt away. Do not inhale. Do not drink. Do not swallow. Do not get it in any orifice of your body.